This week, we're going to talk about the housing market, both on the purchase and rental side. We're going to talk about why it's so deadly to bicycle here in Florida. And we've got power issues. We've got to talk about the solar panels and how that'll affect you. And we're going to talk about a myriad of other things that you may want to know about. We're getting after that next. Hey everybody, my name's Craig Cunha. I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida. And if you're looking for a channel to tell you a little bit more about what it's like to live, play, eat, sleep, and buy real estate on the Gulf Coast, this is the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the little bell, make sure you're notified every time, and be sure to go to our nextfloridahome.com to start your search. You'll be able to search right through our MLS system the same way we do. You'll get all the live time updates, and it'll give you a better idea of what the market's doing and how it's adjusting going through these times that we're dealing with right now. I'm getting calls from people every day, and if you are one of those people that have an additional question that you need an answer to, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast. So nowadays there's a lot of opinions online that you can search out for everything. One of them is moving to Florida. So if you've got questions about it and you've seen some inconsistencies, you've seen some information that doesn't quite make sense, you're like, wait a second, I haven't heard that from Craig. Ask me. Put it down in the comments. I will clarify based on my perspective. As you know, I'm not going to BS, blow smoke, tell you something that's not true, and I will tell you exactly what it is. So if something has been put in your face that doesn't make sense and you want some clarification, comment down below. I'll give you my 2 cents. Whether you want it or not, you're going to get my 2 cents, and hopefully that'll help you make better decisions. Okay, so this week on Zillow, there was a home for $350, kind of right in that sweet spot, just below what our median's been, and it was reduced $45,000. So what is that going to tell you? It's probably telling you someone who's overpriced. So I had another experience this week, and I want to thank Richard and Shannon for trusting me with their purchase, but we were able to secure a home under asking price for the first time in probably a year or so. Yes, I said under asking. So not every situation is going to be that way. Not every home is going to be that way. And not every seller is going to be in a position where they want to move the property as fast as they can or faster. So if it is a home that's been around for a little bit and the people need to move on and their situation is dictating that they have to get that sold first, you may too be able to come in under asking price. But don't take that as a ongoing trend. It's just something that's nice to see in this market where we can finally get to something a little bit more reasonable. All right, so you might have heard that interest rates also fell a little bit. They went from 5.3 to 5.7. That's going to help give a little bit more buying power. I know it doesn't sound huge, but you know what? It sounded huge to you when it was going up, didn't it? But now that it's coming back down, it doesn't sound so huge. Hey, we're going to take any adjustment down that we can get, along with these price decreases, these adjustments. Again, it's nothing that we're used to seeing, but there's a lot of adjustments going on. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But if you couple those together, you're actually getting yourself in a situation that if you've been sitting on the fence waiting to see what's going to happen, this might be just enough to push you over and get you back in the game again. Now, as far as these reductions, these price reductions that I was just talking about, they are now equal with new listings, pendings, and closed sales. That's pretty extreme because before the price decreases weren't existing at all. And I think it's still kind of a 2-to-1 as far as homes leaving the market. So a pending home means it went under contract. That means it left the market. It's not available anymore. A closed home is a final contract. It's done. So there's twice as many of those as new listings coming out. But the new listings were actually beat out by the price reductions. So that's a good sign for us. We're going to see more and more reductions as sellers realize they can't be shooting for the stars anymore and they have to be a little bit more reasonable. Now, new construction, this is crazy. I told you about the one builder that was giving inventory and showing big numbers. They're not the only one now. I'm seeing a number of builders and some of the big guys out there too that are also coming back with inventory. Some of them have great incentives. Some of them have not really a lot of incentives unless you're using all of their vendor services. But there are incentives, there are price reductions, and many of these homes are going to finish in a time frame that allow you to still get in a home here in 2022. Who you partner with matters. I have vendors that I absolutely love, and MTS Construction, Paul Trombley, thank you so much. My mother was having an issue with her roof. It's an older roof. She's one of those people. Now, mind you, she's 80 years old. Sorry, Mom, I threw it out there, but it's what sets this up of why it could have happened. She had one of those people come around to her house, knock on the door, tell her that her insurance company should replace her roof. When she got a no from the insurance company, they talked her into suing the insurance company. Now, months later, nothing's being done. She still needs a roof because the insurance company is going to cut her insurance due to the age of the roof. What do we have to do? Replace the roof. If your roof is old and it's time to be replaced, don't count on the insurance to take care of it for you. That's not the way it works. Yes, it's an ongoing trend. That's what was going on. That's why some of our insurances have gotten so out of whack, because of all the lawsuits. They were pushed upon it by all these roofing sales guys. So be very careful with that. Again, my mother didn't know any better. She didn't even bother to ask me about it. Paul came in. He was able to get her set up with her roof. It was initiated about 6 weeks ago, and it's going to be completed tomorrow. So 6 weeks for a new roof. It was a great price. Paul, thank you so much for taking care of moms, and he is one of my vendors. I've got a number of others that I really like. The quality of work, Trent just texted me today and said, man, Mark did a great job on the painting of my home. And then all about grout, he had them take care of the grout. It looks brand new again. So this is what you get when you team up with the right partners. And if you're looking for any kind of work to be done around your home and need some help, go ahead and reach out to me. I'll give you what I've got. Now, everybody wants to talk about how expensive it is in Florida, right? Especially in the rental market. Do you know, as a national number, that there's only one city in Florida? I'm going to actually say two, but they lump them together because Miami and Fort Lauderdale are so close to one another, basically stack on top of each other. But they put them down as number 7 in the nation for expensive rentals. They're not number 1. And there's nobody else in there. So Fort Myers and Cape Coral didn't even make that list of top 10. But we are on the list for rental rates in the state of Florida. And that's mostly Fort Myers. It's not really Cape Coral. They really didn't hit that list for some reason. But what was very interesting is the increase percentage nationwide year over year. Fort Myers was numero uno. That's why we're getting the rap about having very expensive rental prices, because we must have been so damn low in the first place that we jumped that much in 1 year. Again, still not anywhere close to that top 10 list, but we were the largest increase over the year's time. So take that into account. If you're somebody looking to rent, it is a lot more than it was last year, but it's still less than many other places, and it could still be affordable. If it's not, we just got done talking about the purchases. Maybe now is the time that you start talking to a lender to see if you can get qualified to make your purchase. All right, so we know property insurance is higher. We just said that. We've been hearing all about it. People are complaining about it. Taxes, yes, they're still lower than other states because we don't have state income tax. One of the things you can do for yourself when you're shopping insurance is you've got to look at the home that you're purchasing first and foremost. Make sure it's not in a flood zone, or at least in a zone that's not going to hammer you. Make sure it's maybe a newer home or one that's had its code updates. You want to look for a third nail in the hurricane straps that are on the rafters. You want to, look at the roof age, because again, you just heard about a situation where they'll take your insurance away completely if your roof is too old or doesn't have enough years left to be certified. If it's not those, you have to look at wind mitigation. They want to see how much of your roof is either hip style or gable style. And if you're any more than 10% of gable, then you just got dinged on your insurance. Another thing, storm protection. New construction nowadays is doing impact windows on most every home. If they don't, they have to provide shutters. That protects every one of the openings on the home and gives you full credit. So these are the things you ought to be looking out for when you're purchasing a home. Make sure that you're checking off enough of these boxes so that when you go to get insurance, you're not getting dinged. Now, with insurance coverage, it's kind of funny because it's really only when you have a mortgage. If you pay cash for your home, you don't have to have insurance. Or at least you don't have to have full coverage. Because the one thing about this full coverage is they're trying to look at replacement cost. Well, I'm going to tell you from now, I can't tell you too many homes that have had to be totally replaced. It would take something catastrophic. Even hurricanes don't do that. At least down in this area. I know up on the Panhandle, they had a lot of homes destroyed up there. But remember, they built with a lot of wood frame up there. We do mostly block down here. So a block home, yeah, if you lose a roof, you can put the roof back on. It's not going to cost $400,000 which is probably what they're going to want for replacement value on a home right now. So if you are like Brad, one of my investors, he takes his homes that are purchased by cash and he asks the insurance company to adjust down the coverage. So let's just say his home was worth $400,000. He's only going to look for $200,000 in coverage because that's going to cover him for most big expenses that would come his way. And again, replacement fully of a home is not something that is very common, if at all. If you don't need the full coverage, adjust to what you think will cover your home. All right, so here's another big stink that's going on. Power issues. Yep, the power company just raised their rates. They are going to go up about $32 for every 1,000 kilowatts that you use in power. Now, to give you an idea of what that looks like, I looked up my own power bill. Ask me how many times in the last 2 years that I've gotten to 1,000 kilowatts. None. Hey, that's my situation. That's my perspective. So $32, if that's the max for 1,000 kilowatts, it's not changing my life. But there are people out there that they run their electric lot. Maybe they want to keep it like a refrigerator inside their house. I can't do that. I don't like the cold that much. So you have to look at your usage and what you're doing. If you've got a pool, you're absolutely going to have a higher bill. Your pool should run 8 hours at most in the hottest of summer days. You can dial that back to, I believe it's 6 hours, maybe even 4 in the wintertime when it gets cool. But check with your pool people about that because I'm no expert. I just know when I had a pool, I knew 8 hours was where we needed to have it for the summer months to keep it running efficiently and not have any issues with having to clean it more often with growth issues and having to shock the pool, that kind of stuff. Anyway, look at your usages, find out what that really means. But a lot of people are getting really ticked off. And the reason behind this, what they're telling us, yeah, well, it's because it's more expensive to do business now to supply power to you. Okay, I guess I get it. All right, so now we're probably going to see an explosion in solar. Everybody was already on that bandwagon before, but I will caution you. Please, please, please think about what the whole process looks like. They're going to tell you it's going to cost you nothing. You're going to actually be getting money back at some point and blah, blah, blah. Whatever that is. There's a lot of solar companies. Maybe some of them have some programs that make that work. I know I've been involved in 2 situations where that wasn't the case. There were loans on the home. One deal fell apart. One deal went through. Those loans were there on both of them. It's called a PACE loan, and basically it gets attached to the property. And it will either need to be paid off by the seller or taken over and transferred to the buyer. So if you do not want to take on a potentially $50,000 bill, which was what one of those buyers was going to have to deal with, then look twice. Make sure your agent is going into the property appraiser site and checking for PACE loans, any kind of attachment to the property if you see solar panels on that roof. There's also maintenance costs, which I had no idea that these solar panels, they might need cleaned. Yeah, they said you can do it yourself, but they also said that you should get a professional to do it, and that could be to the tune of a couple $100. That's something to make them run more efficiently. And what happens if one breaks? Well, you've got to replace the panel too. Then it's a couple $100 for each panel. So these are things that they don't really tell you about in the front end when they're trying to tell you how much money you're going to save in power. So do your homework, check all the information out there, and make sure you know what you're getting into before you come into the solar world. All right, so deadliest state for riding bicycle on the streets. Yes, Florida gets that tag. It's not too surprising, given all the times we talked about the driving down here. Yeah, people are crappy drivers, and that's just one of the byproducts of it. But we have about 18 people a day that are involved in some kind of bicycling accident. It's not always being hit by a car, but labeled as a bicycling accident. Then every 2 days, one of those people die. So that is one of the things that we really are trying to get a handle on with the numbers. We're trying to find solutions to this. I will tell you, as a bicyclist here locally, no, I'm not a pro. I'm not one of the guys that's out there in the tights and everything that's getting ready for a triathlon. But when we're riding down to the beach, if you are not going in the right direction, watch the cars as they're coming onto that main road. If you are coming down the side with oncoming traffic, they're watching the oncoming traffic, not you on the sidewalk pedaling down. So pay attention. Don't try to cross in front of that car and get ahead of them. Take your time and go behind them because they won't even look your direction most times. Then you'll be one of those statistics that we just talked about. Now, one of the key things that they're saying when they ask these people about the accident is they say, I didn't see them. Well, you have to look in order to see them. We just talked about how they don't look. Another thing that we have here is a 3-foot law. So you're not supposed to be any closer than 3 feet from a bicyclist, but that is not even enforced. So what do you do with a law that's supposed to protect all these people getting hurt, but isn't enforced? Seems like we have a lot of that stuff going on around the country these days. Now, one of the reasons I think that attribute to why we have more accidents like this is we also have the ability to be on a bicycle outside 365 days out of the year. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of being in Florida. Beautiful weather, can be on a bike anytime. More and more people are starting to use bicycles, especially e-bikes, as regular transportation because of the unaffordability of gas, maybe in their case. But you're going to see more and more of this. So with our weather here, it makes it very easy to justify doing that, and therefore it's going to push our numbers up. But if you're going to be a bicyclist here in Florida, look for the new bicycle paths, sidewalks, and things like that we have going in. Around Cape Coral, there's some massive paths that are being placed up in the northwest area. And you know what? My son and I, we are going to be getting on our own e-bikes, and we're going to go check those out. So I'll give you some updates as I know more. Now, you hear about season here, right? Everybody talks about snowbirds and how we're in season. This is how bad it is. We're in what? July, right? Middle of the summer. Snowbirds aren't supposed to be here for a number of months. Somebody just asked on one of the Facebook groups, they asked, when are these snowbirds coming back? Because I need to plan for all that additional traffic coming back. You're a little bit ahead of yourself, but you can't plan for it. It'll happen all at once. You won't even know it until it hits. It's one of those things, it's a weird phenomenon, but you literally go from pretty busy to slammed, and it seems to happen overnight. It's going to happen somewhere in that November-December timeframe to start. Then once people go back for holidays, they'll come back again in January. That's full on season. So be ready by January, no question. Roads will be stacked again. And yes, even we stayed busier throughout the summer, but it's going to go back to very stacked. And all those restaurants we talked about before that you might want to get into, you're not going to get into them unless you are willing to wait an hour and a half. Now, in a city of 200,000 people, over 200,000 people, we can't get teachers or bus drivers. So here coming up on our new school season, we are going to be at shortages with teachers and bus drivers. So if you have kids in the school system, be patient with it. This is going to be an ongoing problem. I know last year, as the year was going on, every morning there was another text saying which bus wasn't going to be picking up the kids that morning. This looks like it's going to be a perpetual problem throughout this new school year. And if you're somebody that's affected by that, you may want to consider just driving your kids to school. Now, this has been on my list to talk about previously, and I had somebody inquire about this. And what it is it's religion and churches. So yes, we have a ton of churches here and a ton of denominations. I happen to go to a Christian-based church that's out in Fort Myers, Next Level Church. Wonderful, wonderful church there. The pastor is amazing. And we have so many of them around here. You really do have your choice of whatever you want or whatever fits your belief system. They're everywhere in different sizes with different feels. So what you're going to do is try them out a little bit. The really, really big ones, you might get lost in them. That McGregor Baptist is so big, it's literally a campus. And you might feel out of place there because it is so big. Then there's others that are super teeny tiny. I mean, they're no bigger than the size of somebody's residence. So you can find what fits you, check them out, ask around, try it out. Just go on a Sunday, see what it's like and how it feels. But church and faith-built places are everywhere here, so don't worry about finding a place to practice your faith. All right, so that's a little bit more about living in Florida. And is it dangerous? Not really. Is it expensive? Not really. But is there a lot of crap being talked about it? Absolutely. So if you want to know more about what it's like to live or move to Florida, check out one of these other videos. And if you've got a question you need an answer to, you've got to call, text, or email because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.